update. I-20 female found out my mother, 43 female, had a secret baby. It is not my dad's. Original post. The situation is really messing with my head. And at this point, my own mother and grandmother are near enough attempting to bribe me to stay quiet. So I-20 female am one of the four, or so I believed until a few days ago. There is me, my twin brother Eddie, 20 male, and two older half-siblings, Ruben, 24 male, and Grace, 23 female. Ruben is my mom's first child, and Grace is my dad's, 45 male, first also.
I like a nice burrito.
So around 2 years ago, our grandmother on my mom's side had cancer, and my mom went and moved in with her for a while to help and care for her. We didn't see her throughout this whole time as my grandmother lives halfway across the country. Plus, at a time, my brother was busy with last year's school exams, and Ruben was staying with his dad in England, so nobody could go out to visit. Not even Dad to see his wife, because he was really busy with work himself. Mom was gone for a total of 6 months, and when she got back, she had changed. She seemed very sad, and would constantly be all over me and my brother. I assumed she just missed us while she was gone. 2 years passed since then, and on a visit home when doing things around the house, I knocked over my mom's handbag and everything fell out. Naturally, it cleaned up, but in my mom's wallet, there was a picture sticking out of her with a newborn baby in a hospital bed. I was confused at first, and thought maybe it was her with me or one of my brothers as babies, but it was dated from the time she was away with my gran. I ended up confronting my mom about it, and she froze at first, but then tried brushing me off and changing the subject, but I wouldn't let her. I wanted to know why she was in hospital bed with a baby around the time she was gone.
No, you don't do that.
I told her she either tell me or I showed Dad. That's when she started crying and told me everything. She had an affair with another man that's not my dad. She started her affair in 2018, got knocked up in 2019,
I remember when I was going
and
up,
gave birth
around
early
Rockhampton way.
2020. I have a baby
Some
brother.
person got taken by a crocodile while I was going through
that.
there.
Nobody noticed. My gran knew and
talking
covered
about
for her. She never had cancer and she just lied about the chemo and surgery.
Washing clothes in the river or
How could I be so stupid? I'm so angry with her. I asked her about the pregnancy and the other man, and turns out she didn't go to my gran's to have the baby, but chose the other end of town to her affair partner's house and just didn't leave his house. And what's worse is that the affair partner was 24 at a time with 2 kids already, but at least he was single. She stayed with her affair partner and his kids while going through her pregnancy and left a baby with him. I asked more about this man, looked him up, and I know him. He is the son of a family friend, and I've seen him around town with my baby brother. I didn't even know it.
2017.
I've not been doing well since finding all this out. My mom keeps trying to talk to me, but I either lock her out of the room I'm in, or be around my dad so she can talk about it. And whenever she does get a chance to talk to me, she does whatever she can to try and keep me quiet. Even tried bribing me with money or shopping trips. It even got my gran to try and guilt trip me. I don't know what to do. Does anyone have any experience with stuff like this? Any advice they can give me? Do I reach out to this man and ask about my brother? Do I tell my dad? I don't even know if she's still continuing the affair or if she's in my brother's life at all. Now for the top advice before reading the first update. This is going to destroy your family. If you choose to not tell your dad, he'll eat you up inside, and you'll start to hate your mother and distance yourself from her. If you tell your dad, he'll most likely flip the heck out and leave her. Honestly, your mother's the worst. She deserves everything that comes to her. She cheated on your dad, had a freaking child and lied to everyone about it. And even worse, the person she messed around with is a family friend. Sorry, but she's a pretty horrible person. There was a post on one of the infidelity support subs about a man with 3 daughters who knew his wife, who was his childhood love, was having an affair and never told him. In fact, they accepted bribes from their mother to not tell him. When he found out that they knew, it destroyed him. Tell your father. It will destroy your parents' marriage, but don't you betray him too. And you aren't damaging your family. Your mom did that by having an affair with a 24-year-old and having a child with him, then living with him while having his kid. My thoughts are, think of this as if you were in your dad's position. Would you want to know? If so, then that should answer everything. If she had just left and stayed with Gran, gave birth, then adopted out the kid to whoever and came home, that's bad enough, but alright. She made a mistake. She got pregnant and dealt with
When I was
it.
about to get onto the
Dad should
train, there
still
was like
leave
people
her,
like free
but
groceries. They
okay.
just had like a table full
Instead,
of,
she
like,
left and moved in with
it was
him.
mostly like soft drinks.
Like
and,
for months.
free groceries,
She up and
free
left
shit.
you and your dad to live with, and let's be
It was like,
realistic,
"Does it cost you a thing?" And
have
I'm like,
constant
"Okay."
hookups with him.
But-
Especially there was no fear of another baby.
Is there a pizza place
They
here?
probably talked about how to make it work and they couldn't.
Are you
In
going
reality,
shopping first?
she left your dad for months to be with another man, only returning home when it wouldn't work. And worse, the baby's still close enough for her to see at any time, at any point. 23andMe, Ancestry,
Dark alley?
the kid will find out at
Alleys,
some
they
point
have
who his real mom is. Rip the band-aid. Tell your dad.
General
Mom
store.
didn't just have an affair and accidentally get knocked up.
This is like a hipsterish
She
kind of
went to
area.
live with a lover, sleep with him all the time, and then
coming,
try to
yeah.
come back as if nothing happened. Just no. Now for the first update. So those who DM'd me and friends I have spoken with all told me to tell my
Nice to meet
dad,
you.
and that's what I did. At first, he was in complete and utter denial. Even when I showed him the picture of my mom with my secret little brother and used the text my mom and Gran sent me as proof.
Great.
I had never seen him cry before, ever. Not even when my uncle died a few years ago, I never saw him tear up. Eventually, my mom came home and my
How long
dad
did you
just
have to wait for
screamed
us
and
once we
shouted at
realized
her.
we
It was
weren't supposed
awful.
to get a beer?
I showed everything to my brothers and sister, and my half-sister actually got into a physical fight with my mom. I felt so guilty about saying all this. Mom has gone to my grandma's. Neither of my brothers are talking to her. And when it got
Busy.
out
Once we
who
got
my
to, like,
mom's
the-
affair
actually
partner
to the
was,
city,
my
it wasn't
mom's
that
friend
bad when I
group
first
kind of
got
disowned
on.
her in a
Yeah,
way
we were,
as
and then we
he,
got to the city, it's
26
just like-
now, was the son of one of her close friends who already had kids. I wish I could just go back to not knowing about any of this. I don't think my family will ever recover. My older half-brother was in England and is adamant on staying there. My brother is angry with mom and isn't speaking to her either. Dad is just crying and saying he's going to hire a cutthroat lawyer to divorce my mom. And mom is distraught blaming
And we're
me.
leaving you
But
trying
is
to get it
demanding
going.
a talk to her as she doesn't want to lose any more of her children. You are not to blame for this at all.
Love a wood stove.
Your
though.
mother was an adult who knowingly and
This
willfully
atmosphere.
betrayed your father and family. She could have stopped at any point
Atlas,
before
you say?
pregnancy and
Like,
ended
pretty
it, but she did
short
not.
Our housemate
This
does.
is what happens
We
when
kinda
you break
shorten
someone's
everything.
love and
It's an
trust.
Australian thing.
She had a love child with a guy.
Yeah.
Insane. Yes. Her blaming Opie itself shows exactly how remorseful and how much she regrets her actions. She doesn't give a damn that she blew up her family, but is blaming it on Opie. She made her mother lie about having cancer and acted like she
Just
was
like
in
using these
another
words?
country to cover up
Use
her
thongs
affair
for
and
flip-flops,
pregnancy.
right?
Yeah.
She
And we
continued
use
seeing him the
strings,
entire time.
Okay.
Don't know why she came back. But it's probably because she knew everybody would hate her for what she
Chat will be
did.
able
And
to
she would lose her
indicate, yeah,
stable
I'm sure.
family
every
home.
single.
See, but then
She's
they're gonna
also
add
a
some like
super
really
creep
weird
for having
ones,
an
and
affair
they're
with
probably
her
not
friend's
actually true.
son.
They'll be like,
She
hey,
deserves everything
this is
coming to
culturally
her.
appropriate to
Just throw
I
the
agree.
spanner in the works.
She chose to cheat on Opie's dad and got pregnant. She has a lot of
they're
nerve
the most
blaming
important
Opie for her
ones.
choices.
Macca's. Yeah,
You did
I
the
mean,
right thing.
they've actually.
Your
like,
father
got
was
Macca's
nothing
on
but a
the
good
side.
man,
Do they?
Yeah,
faithful
like,
husband,
like,
Half
and a
of them
caring
are
dad.
McDonald's on.
What your mom did was downright evil. And the only thing worse than having a secret kid slash affair at the edge of town would be somehow tricking your dad into thinking the kid was his and raising it. Actions like that need to be brought to the light. And your father needed to know the truth about the woman he thought he knew. Yeah, it caused a rift, but it needed to happen. There's a silver lining at least. All of your original siblings are grown, so there's no child support to worry about. And after the divorce,
There's
she
a
can
step.
just hook up
Double
with her
step.
boy toy and be the mother to his two
Why don't
kids
you
and their
give me
toddler.
2 steps?
She still
Give me
gets a
2
family
steps.
after all.
It's
This
3
isn't
steps,
your
but it's
fault.
okay.
This was bound to come out eventually. And if it came out in 20 years,
Yeah,
the kid was
it's
old
premium
enough to
white
take a DNA test
cardboard.
and find out
Very
for
high
themselves.
contrast with the black
Then
Sharpie.
the thing is, you'd be disowned by everyone for helping your mom cover it for 2 decades.
Yeah.
You did right by shortening the timeline.
Does anyone want a giant
Now
piece
for
of
the last
cardboard?
update. Hello folks.
And it's
Me
just been
again.
sitting on our
Quite a
counter
few
for,
things
like,
have happened since my last update.
Who
so
needs
I
a giant
figured
piece of
I'd post one
cardboard?
last time. The situation I feel and I'm hoping
Freaking
is coming to a close. My parents are
Yeah.
divorcing. My dad filed not so
Meant to
long
be.
after he found out about the baby. Mom tried to convince him not to,
Everyone always
but it
tells
was
me,
futile.
Michael, but I like
My
the
brother still
cardboard.
won't talk to her, and
Yeah,
my
I
half-sister
like the
still
cardboard.
hates her
I
and
have
doesn't
some reasons
regret
we can
hitting my
talk
mom. And I'm still feeling guilty for starting all this.
The feel, but also
Not as much as
I
I
use
did,
inflatable
but
sleeping
still not
pads and I
great.
break them.
My dad wanted to
cardboard?
know what her affair partner
Well,
had
I
to say
sleep
for
on really
himself.
rough ground
And
sometimes.
I went with him to hear
And
what he had
I
to
don't
say
have very high
too,
standards, so
and to calm my dad down in case he would get violent. When we arrived on his doorstep, it looked as if he
So
was expecting
cardboard
this
is
would happen.
a good insulator.
I got to actually meet my
So
little
if you,
brother and
if you
spend time
puncture
with him
your
while there.
sleeping pad, then you can use
Turns
the
out my mom
cardboard.
was originally planning to pay the baby off as my dad's, but her affair partner wanted to be in his kid's life and would expose their affair. Mom's plan wouldn't have worked anyway, as the baby very clearly looks nothing like my dad or mom, who both are pale with blonde hair. And my baby brother has pure black hair and an olive skin tone like his dad. On to the affair. The affair partner told us that our mom told him that my folks were in an open marriage. A sort of don't ask, don't tell thing. So I went along with it and didn't find out she was lying until much later when mom was pregnant. And he showed us text between them confirming that he thought it was fine to meet up with my mom for hookups. My dad broke down in tears on this guy's couch, and this man comforted my dad. This man felt so guilty about lying to my dad's face. He went and see each other around town or at friends' barbecues, but didn't want to ruin our family. He then sent screenshots of the text between him and my mom to my dad to use in court against my mom, as she's trying to get what she can out of him at the moment. My relationship with my mom is still damaged. At any time she tries to blame me, I tell her it was her own actions that caused all this, and that I would be distancing myself from her for a while. She pleaded with me not to do that, but I ended up blocking her like my brothers did. Since then, I've gone back to college and have a trip planned with my sister to go on vacation to Jamaica to visit her grandma. So that's the only thing I have to look forward to these days. Edit. Some people have gotten confused about who is who in my family, especially around me and my siblings and ethnicities. Me and my twin brother, the bio kids of both mom and dad, are very blonde Americans. Older half-brother, who is my mom's first child, is an English shortly with his dad. Older half-sister, who is my dad's first child, that he had with a Jamaican woman that passed when my sister was young. Baby half-brother that mom had with her affair partner. Her affair partner was Italian and Native American descent. Both my folks are blonde with pale skin and blue eyes.
Yeah, they're not that good. Sorry.
Wow, your mom pretty much destroyed her life. And honestly, she deserves it at this point. She lied, manipulated, and cheated. So this is all on her. I would keep her blocked for the rest of your life. She must know that actions have consequences. And those consequences will last a lifetime. I can't believe how narcissistic she is about all this. Honestly, man, good riddance. She will ruin your life if you let her back in. The plan to pass the kid off as Opie's dad was what nailed it for me. What utter trash of a human. That's like the most evil thing someone can do to someone they're supposed to love. I know, man. This woman truly has some issues. I'm glad Opie and their family decided to cut contact. This is pretty much the end of her. Everything she cared about was destroyed by her, and now nobody wants anything to do with her. No idea how I missed this story before this. Holy crap, what a wild journey. I hope your dad has a good attorney. Since a child born to your mom while they are married is generally legally presumed to be your dad's, not the other guys. She was away at her mom's when the baby was born. The biological father is more than likely on the birth certificate as his sole custody. I don't see how Opie's dad would be on hook. He's legally not the father. I'm sure paternity was already established. Unfortunately, many states still have putative father laws, which is how Opie's dad could be on hook even when it's not his kid. It doesn't matter where she was when the kid was born. It only matters that the law states that if they were married, about to be married, or within a certain time frame of divorce, then the husband is legally liable as the father. Even if he can establish paternity as not the husband's, it doesn't matter. Putative father. Putative father, in general, means a man who hasn't legally established a relationship to a child, but who's alleged to be or claims to be the biological father of a child, who was born to a woman to whom he was married at a time. In general, a man may be presumed to be the father of a child if one of the following is true. He and the child's mother are or were married to each other, and the child is born during the marriage or within 300 days after the marriage is ended. Before the birth of the child, he and the child's mother attempted to marry him. And the marriage is or could be declared invalid, and the child is born during the marriage or within 300 days after the marriage is terminated. These are antiquated laws that are unfortunately still used, even despite genetic testing that can prove otherwise. Alaska? Presumed father under Alaska court practice. If a child is born while the mother is married, the husband is automatically considered to be the legal father. Even a birth certificate signed by the real father won't get a husband off the hook in Alaska. If you are or were married, it's yours.
Another bit I think is a bit like Passion Victim is from